Thinking of starting a business with your spouse? Or maybe you already have a business and are considering bringing your significant other on so that they can leave their job and enjoy the entrepreneurial lifestyle with you. Mike Monfredi from MikedUp Blog is here today to walk us through what it's been like to work with his wife at their dental practice. We cover the pros and cons and how you can find opportunities to work together with your spouse that actually creates a stronger relationship from it. Welcome to the MapleMoney Show, the podcast that helps Canadians improve their personal finances to create lasting financial freedom. Today's show is brought to you by our sponsors at Borrowell, Canada's leading credit education company. My wife and I both signed up to get our free credit scores and credit reports and receive an update each month via email. Get your free credit score at maplemoney.com/borrowell. That's maplemoney.com/BORROWELL. Now let's talk with Mike. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the MapleMoney Show.
Hey, thanks so much, Tom. I appreciate you bringing me on. Thanks for the opportunity.
So I wanted to have you on because I know a lot of bloggers that have that they might start to do well, and then their spouse quits, and they come on as part of the company. But you have a different case. I don't want to constantly be talking about blogging on this podcast. So I appreciate that you have a different sort of deal here where you actually work in a real brick and mortar business with your spouse. Can you tell me a bit about what that business is and what you guys do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. No problem. So my wife is a dentist and we run a dental practice. We bought the business, it was about 2 years ago, and it's about 4 years after she graduated dental school. And in that time, in the last 2 years, we bought the business from the previous owner. We had issues securing a long-term lease at that old location. So it was 8 months after the purchase, we had to find a new space, get a contractor, and get everything moving to build out this brand new location, and then actually pick up and move our dental practice. Okay. And then set up shop. And it's been actually just a year on the nose coming up here in just a couple of days since we've opened up at the new office. So in that time, we've settled in quite a bit and, are trying to find, I guess, our sea legs for getting this business up and moving. Growth is a big focus right now, but it was tough for me personally for a little while because I was working a regular full-time job doing something else. And then, as you know, I recently came over to our practice full-time, and that's been, I guess, about 3 months now. So, it's been frantic, but I think we're finally starting to get kind of a stasis and getting to a point where we're able to have some sustained growth and stability, which is nice.
For sure. So she's the dentist. What is it that you bring to the table? What is it you're doing for the business?
Did she talk to you before this interview? I handle all things. So the way that I try and put it is that anything clinical, obviously the decision is hers completely. Although we have the same undergraduate degree, her graduate degree is a lot more advanced than mine is. And she's the one that gets to make all of those decisions. And I'm happy that that's the case. What I do is back of the house type stuff. So staff development, hiring, firing, not firing. Why did I say that? I don't know. But hiring and staff development are two of my things that I really enjoy quite a bit. I do all of the HR type stuff, payroll. And when we went through that move and the build out and all of that, it was my opportunity and my responsibility to make sure that all that stuff was negotiated, that everything was going to happen when we wanted it or needed it to happen. And, it's just the details, all of the other details that you might not think about when it comes to running a business. That kind of falls under my purview.
Mm-hmm. So she's the boss. How does it, despite wife jokes in general, how does this all work between you guys? It's sort of this idea that she's the boss at work, but obviously you guys are a team otherwise. So how's that dynamic work?
Yeah. I mean, I like to listen to podcasts as well. So I believe it was Peter Attia. He's a doctor that has a relatively new podcast that said it pretty well one time, is that he'd have these emergency room situations and families would come in, and when they had situations where they had to deal with loss, like they lost a member of the family, the family members that remained, it was kind of predictable how they would react. The families that came in kind of cohesive together and with a healthy relationship, when they handled that loss situation, they just kind of closed ranks, and it wasn't easy to deal with, but they were able to kind of process and handle it a little bit better. Now, the families that were kind of fractured when they came into those situations, it just exacerbated that and made it so much worse. So, what I'm grateful for and what we try and work on constantly is just the foundation that we have with our marriage, and then we try and carry that over into the business side of things. So it's built on the cliche things you hear about all the time. It's communication, it's trust, and it's the ability to rely on one another, which is, at the end of the day, it's nice because, would you rather have somebody that you don't know quite as well handling all the other aspects of the business that you don't have input over? Or for us, it's nice because, it's the person I trust the most in this world that's handling everything else. And I'd rather have nobody else dealing with that. So.
Yeah, true. The other question I have with this is, and I don't want to get you in trouble with the wife, but is working together spending too much time together, or do you find other options to have your own time somewhere else?
I was worried about that. She was worried about that before we got started. And as I said, the lead up to buying the business, adding that to the time that we own the business where I work someplace else, I mean, we're talking about a couple of years. So we hemmed and hawed over that point for a little while. We had financial things to consider about, were we going to make enough money to support our family? But the point of spending all day together and then coming home and spending all night together was one that we thought about quite a bit. And I think one of the most important things, at least for us, that helps with not getting burnt out with that relationship or with those interactions is the fact that during the day there are times where I hardly ever see her. Mm-hmm. She stays in the back and deals with the patients and handles everything clinical, like I said before. And I'm, up front handling insurance claims, checking people in, making phone calls, talking, and taking meetings, things like that. So it's nice in the fact that we have divided the labor in a way that there's not a ton of overlap. And I think that helps too, so we're not constantly looking over each other's shoulder, making the same decisions in a different way, or kind of interfering with that. It's like, she's got her area, I have mine, and there is overlap, of course, but it's nice because we kind of stick into those boxes, I guess.
Yeah, I guess literally at a dentist, it's split into two halves, right? There's
it makes it nice.
Yeah, I could see in other businesses though, where if someone's kind of filling the manager role as the boss, and then the spouse is filling like an admin role, there probably could be a lot of overlap in those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It's nice for us because, if I can back up just a moment, when she first graduated from dental school, she had no intention of ever buying a dental practice or owning her own shop. She didn't like the responsibility, didn't want to deal with all that admin stuff. So, it is nice in the sense that in name, obviously she's the owner and the ultimate boss, but she does defer a lot of those types of decisions for HR or admin type stuff. She just kind of lets me handle it. And I always say I'm married to a saint, and this is just one of the ways that I get to say that over and over again. So thanks for the opportunity, Tom. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Glad you didn't get yourself in trouble on it.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah. So if someone has a business, just one half of the couple is running a business, what are some of the ways that they can kind of look into this, see if it's right for them to even go down this route, like to see if like maybe it makes more sense for the spouse to come into the business, or should they keep doing their own career maybe that they're already doing?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. And I think there are a ton of variables, at least for us, that went into it. And I would imagine for others, one of which being the finances. That was one of the things that we struggled with quite a bit. The job that I had was working for the government of the state that I live in. And typically with air quotes cushy government jobs, you get really nice benefits and a healthy paycheck. So you have to evaluate, do you think that the extra stress of relying entirely on this one business for your family's finances, is it worth the risk? And then kind of treat it as a series of questions. Once you check that box, you answer yes to that question, and then you can move on to the fact that, okay, well, how is our relationship when we spend entire weekends together? At the end of the weekend, are we kind of ready to have a little bit of downtime and do our own thing for a couple of hours? Or is it a rejuvenating, we're still like we just met a year ago kind of feeling? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you need a little bit of space, not that there's anything wrong with that, then, that's not to say that starting a business with your spouse or bringing your spouse onto your business is going to be a detrimental thing. There are just other things or decisions that you might try and make or think about that can help create a little bit of space while at work, so that you're not burning yourselves out and compromising your time at home or your family life. For us, we have a 4-year-old and then another new baby that's just 11 weeks old now. So, there we talk a lot about separating business life from personal life, in terms of the discussions that we have, the things that we talk about. And now with the addition of this new baby, I mean, it's almost kind of like a fail-safe. We come home and it's not, there's no opportunity really to talk about this patient that we had at the end of the day, or this negotiation that I'm doing with this insurance company about fees or anything like that. It's just like, hey, do you have the bottles today? Who's making dinner? Did we go to the store? I don't know. Or is there any food in the fridge? I'm not sure. It's like, I think that those things, staying busy and keeping that stuff moving family wise, it helps us to separate those two things.
Yeah. That's a great point. Actually, I hadn't thought of that. The idea that if you're in a business together, there's kind of a danger there that you just become the business like 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
No, obviously in your case, you're too busy with the baby to have that problem, but it is a good idea to cut that off at a certain point. And I do the same with my day job. It's very much, it's not that I do it on purpose for my family. I just do it because that's how I'm wired. When I leave the building or close the laptop, I'm done. I'm not letting work kind of seep into my evenings or weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it's so much more as with a spouse though, where a lot of people probably should watch out for that, where you don't want to become the business and simply business partners constantly throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. No, I'll tell you, when we were first getting this thing started and talking about not only the purchase agreement that we were working on negotiating and making sure we had all the terms ironed out for, we were also negotiating with landlords and brokers for this new office space, the contractors. I mean, it was like next to impossible to separate work from family time. But we communicated efficiently in the fact that it's like, hey, it's not going to be this way forever. We're not going to be having these conversations, for the next 5 years. This is like one of those hyper intensive periods where we're going to try and knock all of this stuff out now, so that we can set up kind of a hopefully more relaxed and more stable future for the next 5-10 years, business wise and personally. So, I mean, it's like anything, I guess, right? You're trying to find balance, and there are going to be more hectic times, but we try and take advantage when it's not always that way as well, and enjoy those moments too.
Yeah, for sure. If we can hop back to the finances for a sec. So you had the cushy government job. What sort of really led you to making that choice then? Like, isn't it better to keep that job just financially, or did you make the choice that sort of the potential of the business is potentially bigger?
I love this question because you can look at it two different ways. And I'll be open and frank. I mean, I got to the point, I was at that job 7.5 years. I had great health insurance, a healthy pension plan that would have been there waiting for me if I'd have put my 32 years in, and it would have been great. I was making $70,000 at the end of it per year. So it was, it put our family in a really good position when you added that to the potential that my wife had to make money. But that number, that salary, those benefits we literally had things drawn out. In 10 years, your salary will be this, and your benefits are going to be that. We knew exactly what that was going to be. There was no variability. And as long as I wasn't an idiot and I did my job and then, I did it in a semi-respectable manner, that's where I would have been. And we knew exactly what that was going to be. The business, on the other hand, it's a series of variables associated with it that the income, is not a linear, just gradual step up the track, and there were things that I knew that I had the capability to do to bring to the business as far as marketing, or, a lot of the back room team building type stuff that, although it might not seem like these are huge changes that I'm making, it's a bunch of little micro things that can have a macro impact when they start to compound on each other. And there was only so much of that I could do during the nights and the weekends. So it's like this future promise of the potential for these increased gains. And it was, it got to that breaking point for us. We were like, we can think about and conceptualize and do this stuff, just when I have spare time, or do we want to dive in and give this thing a real shot and see what we're made of, see if I'm capable of actually making some positive impacts here. And it's been a few months now, but we just had the best month we've ever had. And finally starting to see some traction. It is, let me tell you, really rewarding when things do go well. Now, it's not always going to be that way, but it's been a good month, and it's great to see the progress and the traction where we've been and where we're going.
Mm-hmm. So I guess this is almost the same for any entrepreneur, where you hit that point where you got to decide, the day job or this budding business. But yeah, I agree. Not too different than investing. Like, chances are you can do better with the business, but there's risk there, and there will be down times. And
yes,
but yeah, overall, it sounds like the better way to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally, and right, as long as things work out the right way. I mean, we took a lot of information in. We have advisors that we work with and people that we hire to help us make decisions, and a lot of them suggest, you want to have a good amount of money in savings, and you want to make sure that your income is obviously going to at least pay for your expenses. I mean, it wasn't just a decision made on hopes and prayers. There were a lot of calculations that went into it too, but there does come a point where you're like, the theory of what the income looks like it could be, it's close to making up the difference and giving us what we need. And there's just no real way of understanding exactly what it's going to be until you kind of jump in and take that leap of faith. So yeah, we calculated as much as we could. And then there was a point where we just had to move forward.
Yeah. And I think we've had a couple guests on this podcast now sort of point out that when you make a jump like this, you can always go back if something doesn't work out financially, or maybe you don't want to spend that time with your spouse, either, whatever the case is, not for you, but for anyone.
Sure.
If you find out it's not working, you can always go back to a job, maybe not that exact same job that you were at for 7 years. There's a risk that you've given up that seniority, but there's always often another job out there if you decide you need to go in another direction.
I mean, especially with where unemployment is right now, it's really low, and it's not as difficult as it was when I graduated college back in 2008 to find a job. So that's a great point.
Yeah, exactly. What about the lifestyle aspects of this? But both just you in that you've left your day job, but also the lifestyle benefits for your family. I'm sure with a kid, this is with a newborn baby. I mean, this is probably a perfect time to not be sort of tied to the regular job.
Yeah. So with working the old full-time job, doing our business stuff on the nights and the weekends, and then actually trying to get my blog to the point where it was starting to earn a profit, I was just burning out. It was ridiculous. And that was part of the factor and part of the decision that we had to make when I ultimately quit my job and came over. But you are 100% right. Aside from the fact of working for ourselves, getting to make basically every decision that we want to and have total impact over our business, the thing that I love the most is that we we can do, like if I need to go and pick one of the kids up because she's not feeling well from school, I don't have to ask anybody's permission. As long as I've got somebody to cover my spot, then I'm good to go. I can just go grab her. No big deal. We can set whatever schedule we want to for our business. If we want to work on weekends, we can. If we don't have to. Like we work right now Monday through Thursday, and sparingly on a Saturday or a Friday. So, it's the ability to have that impact over your life, not just what the work is like while you're there, but how often are you going to work, and other decisions like that. I'm in the newlywed stage of working for myself here, so maybe this is colored with those glasses, but it's a lovely feeling. I really enjoy it.
Nice. Is there sort of anything that I'm missing here so far? Like, I don't mean to ask such an open-ended question, but is there anything that people need to know about working with a spouse that we haven't covered?
When you have an argument with your spouse at home and you work in two different places, it's easy to put a little bit of space and a little bit of distance and then a little bit of perspective into that situation. You go to work, she goes to work, or whatever your relationship is. You start to think about that thing, the discussions that you had, the disagreement, whatever. And then, in 4 hours time, you might realize that, I was stupid when I said that, and I shouldn't have said that. I should call and apologize. It's, without the space, we have 20 minutes of driving time from home to work. She drops the kids off in the morning. I pick them up in the afternoon, but otherwise we're there 100% of the time. And if you don't have the respect, the ability to communicate effectively, and just know when it's time that, okay, maybe I don't need to say that thing, or maybe I should just go spend a couple of minutes doing something else. I could see how it would easily be a pressure cooker type of situation. For people that might be a little bit more confrontational or a little bit of a short temper, I would just say it's important to know yourself, know your spouse, and make sure you put the correct, think about those things when you're making decisions about how much time you're going to spend together, and try and put a little bit of buffer in throughout your days, whether that's at work or at home.
For sure. This has been great. Congrats on the success of your business and your newborn. Can you let people know where they can find you online?
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. And thanks again for bringing me on. You can find me. My website is MikedUpBlog.com. And I'm constantly on Twitter, which is probably another one of the issues I need to take care of. But it's at Real Mic'd Up on Twitter. So I appreciate it if you guys want to check it out.
Great. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Mike, for the look into how you and your wife run the business together. You can find the show notes for this episode at MapleMoney.com/MikeMonfredi. Are you on Twitter? I'd love to know what your favorite episode is, and it would be great if you could share it with others. If you head to MapleMoney.com/show, you can click on an episode and tweet it from the page. I'll get notified, and I'll often retweet it as well. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week.